What's going on, guys? We have a special episode. We have a special guest. We have our buddy Nick Hall here visiting us, Michael Lear black belt. We thought it would be a good opportunity for us to kind of pick his brain. We don't normally get black belts on our podcast, just the lower peasants.
Can we just add that we're filming this at 7:30 in the morning on a Saturday and not a typical Friday night?
So they may not be as peppy, but I'm born peppy. Let's do it.
Oh, before we get into it, like, comment, subscribe, share this.
Buy us a Knights of the Round Table.
Yes. our Patreon.
50 likes because it's a round table.
Buy us around at the table.
That too.
Yeah, there we go.
I'm for that.
There you go. And if you guys get a ticket.
Ooh, got you.
Yep.
We're not a cult.
We're not a cult. We just dress alike.
We're good fools.
We just love each other that much.
All right, Nick. So tell us a little bit about yourself. Background. Where are you from? What do you do? And how'd you get into jiu-jitsu?
I'm from Florida. Moved to Colorado when I was 5. Lived there for 20 years. It was between wrestling seasons. I got into jiu-jitsu. I was just looking for something different than like wrestling club. And I went to a Habero school for my first 8 years and then went to train with Michael Lear my last 2. And moved out to Carolina because of the Army. And that's, first I got into like MMA, like every teenage kid, I thought I was going to be a UFC fighter. Didn't turn out that way. Got a bunch of submission wins and I was like, jiu-jitsu's where it's at. Just fell in love with the gi, fell in love with the no-gi scene. Became a huge jiu-jitsu nerd. Love it.
Nice.
Let's go.
Oh, man, come on in. You can jump on in. Grab a chair and this is gonna be juicy. Me and this guy don't get along with we have different views on a lot of things.
Have you guys talked
Come
about...
on in. Hey, go out there and grab a seat.
We don't have any chairs.
Have you guys talked about the gi versus no gi self-defense
No,
thing
not yet.
Hey, grab that.
Corey, grab that bench to the left.
Hey, we're coming back to you guys.
Pause. And cut. Are we bringing that stool?
Yeah, we were bringing the bench.
Okay.
Jesus.
And he's back.
All right. And we're live again because, hey, we got this guy coming in. This is someone I wanted to bring. These two are actually someone that I wanted to bring on for a little while, and we're gonna get back to his story, but especially this guy because he just likes to push my buttons. And
About to see the spice.
Yeah, who doesn't like to push your buttons?
he pushes it in a different way.
You don't.
Let's go down a path. Let's go down a path.
Don't make it awkward.
I can wait to see where this goes. Don't forget, we got to speak into Maman right here, okay? Let's finish your story, man. Go ahead.
That was about it. That was about
That's
it. Yeah,
it.
moved out to North Carolina because of the Army and met Johnny, everybody over here, and I'm really thankful I met you guys. You guys are great people.
Good dude.
So being in the Army and being a black belt, do you feel like a nomad, like you're in the Sons of Anarchy and you just don't have a club right now and you're just unattached?
I mean, a little bit, like it's kind of cool because around like the military culture, like jiu-jitsu is obviously really popular with Jocko and everybody listening to the Joe Rogan podcast, but
Joe what?
Yeah, Joe Rogan. Nobody knows that. I don't know, but there's a lot of good jiu-jitsu like around like Fayetteville and I don't know, like cool. in the town around it, like they got like Diego Ramallo out there, trained with them like once.
Nice.
But man, like it's a cool scene out there.
Awesome. So how was it training with Michael Lear?
He's a savant. He absolutely is a savant. It looks like his body was like made to do jiu-jitsu too. He's got like long limbs and like just abnormally big and strong hands. His technique is flawless. I really appreciated his background because like he started out with the Habero brothers and I kind of started out with like their affiliation and then he moved to the more sport jiu-jitsu side, more spinning shit, more, lapel guards and stuff. But I really appreciate like he's got a really good close guard, single leg X guard, but then he does all like the really fancy stuff too. And he does it he makes it look like it's super easy.
Yeah, man, dude's a beast. If you guys don't know, maybe we have a bunch of beginners out there watching this, but Michael Liera, one of the best American Jiu-Jitsu guys to ever grace the mats, the competition mats. And by the time when this gets posted, black belt world finals and semis are gonna happen today. So watch that stuff, guys. You need to watch that to kind of figure out what these guys are doing. Corey, tell us about yourself. How'd you get into jiu-jitsu? Tell us about your first day at jiu-jitsu. How'd you even find us? How'd you even
getting into jiu-jitsu? So I was in the area because I'm in the military as well. So being in the area, I was a little far originally so I wasn't here first in North Carolina. I was in Virginia, and so I had always been kind of like had that idea, and I was like, I knew it was a thing. I was like, I want to get into it. And I remember I walked into a local gym, and I talked to the professor at the time. I was just talking to him about pricing. Pricing was like, at the time I wasn't making like a whole bunch of money. So, and I was like paying all my bills. So when he gave me the monthly price, I was like, dude, that's gonna like run me thin. And then, so kind of put it on the back burner from there. Came here, been in the military like probably 4 years at that point. Had re-enlisted like shortly after that, after moving into where I live now. And so do the normal, the guaranteed jiu-jitsu near me, and saw that there was a place right up the road, like 5 minutes from where I just moved, 5-10 minutes, and I dropped in completely random. I was had my girlfriend at the time, but had my wife now, but had her in the car, and I said, hey, I'm gonna just swing in real quick. So we just swung in, and Johnny here calls my bluff. He was the first one I talked to, and he was like, you can roll right now. And I was like this second. And he was like, yeah, there's keys in the closet. And I was like, all right, I'll be back tomorrow. And so he was doing what he does, and he called my bluff on that. But I showed back up the next day, and then from there it just.
You've always been a bully. That's even people walking in off the street.
Where do you think I get it from?
Hey, funny story about this guy too. Like, he kept on talking about competition, and I just signed him up. I'm like, I got tired of him talking about this competition, so I just signed. I paid for this tournament. I was like, I'm just gonna sign you up, Corey.
Yeah.
Signed up for a tournament like 800 miles away.
My first tournament ever was, I found out 24 hours prior that I was going to 48. It was like 48 at that time.
Yeah.
But
I just signed him up. You gotta sign him up, baby.
But it was super, super fun. I'm actually glad you did too, because it kind of like opened my eyes, and I was like, I was so nervous to like go in there and like lose, because I have this thing with me, like, where I'm kind of like you represent something like other than just yourself, like walking out there. So I was like, if I go out there and do something stupid, it's gonna like make everyone look dumb. And then I've kind of shed that already, and I'm like, if you just go out there and like just give it your all, like you'll get better as you go. And then there's no way to like, I learned so much from like that tournament just in general. And I was like, that tournament was one day. So it was like, just from those like 15 minutes in total that you like spend on the mat, I was like, dang, I learned so much. And like just jumping into competition, I think is very good for just expediting like jiu-jitsu results, like getting out of that bubble of like, I train with the same dudes every day for X amount of time. Because if you're not like, in the military, like most people aren't like moving all the time, so you're training with the same dudes day in, day out, like year after year. Like getting into the competition, you're getting a whole new scene. You're seeing like, dang, I got a hole here and I got a hole there, and then you can just make adjustments and then go from there.
Kind of brings up a good point too. Like, I feel like if you don't get outside of your comfort zone and roll with other colored belts, black belts, if you're a black belt, you're gonna get this like almost like, I don't know, like false sense of like that you're getting better. But like honestly, like if you compete or if you roll against the same guys every day, you learn their game. And so like I'm like, oh, like I'm getting really good. Like I just passed Johnny's guard, and then it's like, no, it's because train with him every single day and you know his guard.
Yeah.
You go to another black belt and you get swept really easy and you're like, what the hell, man? I just like passed a black belt's guard. But like you get like this, like, so you got to get out of your comfort zone and train with other people because you're gonna get stagnant, right? I mean, you guys kind of agree with that?
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. It's like I heard a saying. I think it was just after that tournament too, where it's like most people don't go in the gym to learn; they go into the gym to win. Yeah. And it's like that when I like heard that. I think I heard that on a. I actually don't remember where I heard that honestly, but like when I did hear, I was like, dang, that actually makes a lot of sense because you go in there like you're thinking at night like, okay, he likes to do this, so I'm gonna go in there and do that. But you're not learning. You're just like you're just scheming on somebody at that point instead of like trying to execute a technique properly and efficiently. You're just trying to, kind of scapegoat it, and then when you have to apply it for real, like with somebody you have no idea, like then it doesn't give you the same results because you haven't trained to its like actual like efficiency in the way it's supposed to be applied.
And I think that touches on our last episode about like that question, just do you focus on something when you come in to train kind of thing. It's like when you come into that mindset, just coming in to win or just roll, you don't have that mindset. It's like, what am I trying to learn? What am I trying to improve?
Yep,
what am
exactly.
what am I trying to grow on? So it's, when you come in there trying to learn, like you said, Johnny, you pick something, it's like, this is what I'm working on. And you find out, like, if it's a guard and it gets past, you're like, okay, I can't do it like this. I got to do it better. Mm-hmm. So it's like, it connects to that. So,
do you guys agree with the pick, like, I think it was Bruce Lee who said, like, I fear the man that has learned one kick 10,000 times instead of 10,000 kicks one time. Do you guys agree with that in jiu-jitsu, picking one system to kind of stay around and then just do that for...
I'll let Nick talk. He's been. We bring him into
literally just talking about this last night. Not on the podcast. We were just talking about that.
Where's the smelling salts at? I think you need to do that to get better, like certain moves at like your core game, But then after a while, like once you've not mastered that game, but once you've made it your A game or something that you feel very comfortable in, then it's time to move on. Do new things and pick something that you're not good at. Like for me, it's like bottom half guard or like butterfly guard. Like I really need to work on my wrestling, even though I've wrestled since I was 10. Like it always needs improvement.
Yeah.
But like, like my De La Hiva and like Barambolos and stuff, like I feel like, I kind of need to like move away from that now because it's something that I use a lot.
Yeah. No, that makes complete sense for sure, especially in with Instagram jiu-jitsu out there, like you scroll and you see like, oh, that looks super cool, I'm gonna try that today.
Yeah. It's a great resource.
And then it never goes, and then you try it again the next day, you're gonna try something else, and it's like you're just like dabbling in like, I'm gonna try that, try this, and you're like not getting efficient at one thing.
But check out Shield's Instagram because he has cool moves.
I do the same thing.
What's your take on that? Would you rather someone be really good at one thing or be really super diverse?
Look, so I'm gonna put it like this. Something that we talked about off camera about systems. We see like super high level schools, people that are ran by very highly accoladed athletes, but they're not producing world champions. Hey, I didn't produce any type of world champions, but anyone with two fingers and a forehead, like. They'll know like the winning teams are doing something very different. Shut your mouth, man.
Make up a proper.
I like it.
Like so.
Can we make a shirt out of that too?
That's a Johnnyism.
Johnny.
You want to compete? You got two fingers and a forehead? Get out there.
Go out. But I like to use AOJ as an example. Is that like how many world champions did they already produce since like Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and no one's stopping Tynan.
No.
Just calling that out right now.
Was it 57 or something?
Yeah, something like that.
You see AOJ too, like they do like a lot of good branding with like their videos and their mat space, like the white on white, the plants, the art in the background. And,
I mean, it doesn't
pretty
look
aesthetically
good.
pleasing, but the branding doesn't stop there.
Yeah.
Like the branding is like when their competitors go out and like Johnny was saying the other day, like they kind of smash everybody with like the same moves.
Exactly.
But they're small tweaks and variations that personalize it to them.
Yeah.
So to answer your question, I think that as a coach, like for the competition team, maybe like we as a team should have like the general direction. Like all of us have a direction that's what we're good with, and just kind of do what AOJ does, or at least what I assume. And obviously they're not going to be posting like how they're training their athletes, the competitors, but
not 100%.
Yeah, 100%. Just like
Small
little
tweaks I've
tidbits.
seen,
But from what I see and from what I read, like even from like a lot of like high level wrestling, these guys, they don't just do like, you know, wrestle like the whole time. They focus on like certain techniques, and they just do it over and over and over again. Like a single leg, they're like, all right, today we're just doing single legs, and that's what you're doing for like the whole practice. And then a little bit of that is the flow. I could be wrong. You guys wrestled.
No, I totally agree.
Yeah, and that's why like these wrestlers are really good at what they do, is because they have a very focused approach to practice. And I think a lot of like these jiu-jitsu coaches, we need to like have like a different approach versus just like hammering away at like a lot of like this rolling.
Well, I think that ties into Corey's question about, you know, the Bruce Lee things. Like, it just sounds like the wrestling training aspect of it is they're doing that one move, like, you know, for lack of better words, 10,000 times. So it's like, it's in that repertoire, and it's, you know, then they switch to something else after that, and they got it, and it's becomes part of their A game because they've done it so much, and it's just natural now because they did it so much. So
yeah, and it's like the mechanics of the movements that you put into like warm-ups, like you don't realize you're doing this one thing a whole bunch of times, like the leg under drill, and then like you go to do a leg drag, and you're like your body just knows because that's the mechanics. Have you done it a bunch? And the same thing with, you know, single leg shots or doubles or whatever you're doing, you know. Your mechanics, so as long as you have the basic mechanics down, it's going to help improve your game everywhere else.
You got to do the positional too.
Yeah, 100%.
Like, I'll have plenty of times where like I'll be teaching on base and I'll show guys a move and I'm like, all right, like it's time to roll. Like when you're rolling, like try to hit the move and you know, just don't forget about it. If you can hit it today while it's out of everybody's mind, like you're probably gonna be able to hit it in a week when everybody has kind of forgotten about it, you know.
Exactly.
But you know, then they start rolling, and like it's kind of tough because you want to give the guys the rounds, you know, because it's kind of the fun part of training, right? But like the positional is really where like those technique gains are made.
And that also is a way for you upper belts out there that complain that they don't have other upper belts. I know I can't really speak for myself because I don't got any major titles or anything. Won a few opens. But I've trained with other super high level guys, and I would never say that I'm like out of place. It's because of like these situational trainings that we do, right? Because you're developing that certain skill set that most people they just roll, and then they just you know, they don't get to work in like that very specific area very much. And so no more excuses. Just do situational training. Don't complain about that you don't have training partners. You could get those white belts and just put them there. That's what Lucas told me to do. So it's not me. It's not just me just saying that.
No, it trains like that's. I really like that framework that you have for practices, because like when I was on the Marine Corps wrestling team, and like two of my training partners were world team members. So like we high level wrestling, and our practices are set up the exact same way. It's technique, it's a situational, and then it's live, because you build that up, you know, like Nick was saying, you gotta get, you know, in that position so you know how to feel it, and then you go right into a roll and you're like, okay, I'm gonna try to hit this.
Yeah, I feel like when you do situationals, from my point of view, from when we did it before we had the gym, you're able to see it better. Like and a lot after, like, if you do situations and you go to live roll, then you're like, oh, because a lot of times like we drill it and you don't know. And maybe it's just from the knowledge of growing in jiu-jitsu, but it's like, you do it in situational, then in the live roll, you're like, oh, you see the opportunity better. So, and then plus you're getting the different reactions, like, because you're doing the situational, and the person that you're doing it with, like, they're giving you different reactions because they're at the same time, they're like, no, I can't do it this way, I got to do it. So you're getting tons of different reactions, and just, so it's like you're accumulating so much information just through that situational.
Yeah, and as a blue belt, I see that window open and then I see it close, and I'm like, damn, I'm gonna do that next time. Dang it.
You want to tell those guys they can roll while we
Who is it?
Jose and Rachel.
You guys just edit.
Yeah.
Oh,
Say what?
Ooh.
No, you just edit all this up.
Yeah.
Oh, it's sick.
We're gonna keep this in. We're gonna keep this one in.
No, we're not. All right, hey, here's the next question. The big question of the day: is pulling guard practical?
Will it work in a street fight?
And fight.
Go ahead, Corey. Lead on this one.
So you're gonna be shocked at my.
Hey man, go ahead.
You'd be shocked at my answer. Like deliberately, like pulling. I don't think so. But having like knowing how to do that, I think so too, and I can utilize my own experience. So one of my biggest pushes into jiu-jitsu, kind of crazy. I don't know. One of my biggest pushes into jiu-jitsu, and I knew it was like it is time. I got into a good little fight overseas, and I remember this guy was much bigger than me. He was kind of like not like taller, but he was just like stockier than me. And I'm like, you guys know I'm not the biggest dude ever. So now I'll be honest, like kind of what happened. The guy knocked on my door, and I knew as soon as I opened my door, I knew I had a problem. I was like, all right, so this is we're having right. He had like whiskey in his hand, and I was like, yep, this is happening. So we get into my room. Things obviously, like I said, we break out into a good little brawl. I get on the guy's back, and I remember I went to choke him, and I couldn't. I didn't have the strength in my arms. Like my arms were just burnt out. Like I could not choke him. Like I couldn't squeeze. And so I had to resort to something else. We ended up falling over, or he ends up falling over, and he kind of fell into the corner of like where my TV was, like in a dresser, and he was there. And I remember he had his legs up, and I couldn't get around his legs. And he was just like not kicking, but he was just like kind of just waving his legs like this, and I couldn't get on top of him because of that. And that were the two biggest things. Where it's like I can't get around on this dude right now, and he wasn't like we were both like untrained, and when I couldn't choke him, but I believe.
He got a pull on you.
Yeah, you heard it here first. The guard works.
He didn't know he did it. I didn't know what pulling guard meant at that time, but I remember like having his legs up. Like
what color McMatt belt were you at the time?
Green.
Okay.
Yeah.
McMatt doesn't work.
No.
What
Real
was his fight
McMatt is
about?
like brown and black.
What was he mad about?
So one of my Marines at the time, who was one of those Marines who I think he got kicked out of the Marine Corps. He was like that guy in the squad, like just real weirdo. And he was upstairs crying about something, and he had came down, and him and I didn't get along. We were just cordial, but we didn't like say what's up to each other. And he came down and was like, hey man, like you're like messing with your Marines. And I was like telling him like, nah dude, like I don't know. And he was like, well, your Marine said this. And I was like, well, I'd love to hear which one said it. Knowing in the back of my head, I was like, I already know who he's been talking to.
Sure.
And so he came to the room, and he stepped in. He was like, can I come in? And he had this like very condescending. I was actually on the phone with my dad at the time, and I was like, yeah, sure. So I walk over to my phone. I said, Dad, I'll be right back. And I just hung the phone up. And he comes in, and I sit down, and he kind of like backed off that perch a little bit. And then he said something. So with me, it's kind of like I don't get angry. I just like I'm either chill and then I'm not. And then he said,
You get very.
I told him I said I get angry here when it's like. Then I told him I was like, dude, why don't you just like leave? And this is like I think this is like midnight on Christmas morning or Christmas Day at that time. So it was like going into December 26th. And then he was like, I'm not leaving your fucking room until you make me. And then I was like, all right. So I stood up, hit him with a headbutt, and then that's where that went.
Of course, the headbutt. All right, so we're down to like 21 minutes. We're gonna shoot off some random questions. What's the rudest animal, Corey?
What?
Yeah.
Rudest
Go.
animal.
Rudest animal. Go.
Rudest animal?
Yeah.
I've never heard that in my
Oh
life.
yeah, I haven't.
The
Yeah.
biggest animal of an animal.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There you go. Me and Brandon and Matt have already answered this.
Yeah.
So we get random questions all the time. You know when I post on the Instagram stories, these are the questions.
Oh, send
I get.
it. What is the rudest?
Animal. Go.
Oh, rudest.
Yeah, a-hole.
Oh, probably a orangutan.
What?
Ooh, that's an I like that
Yeah,
answer.
Alright.
they'll like throw turds at you.
Oh, yeah.
That's fair.
I got a
I
new
was
one,
gonna
too.
say alpacas because they spit at you, right?
Oh, yeah.
Man, these guys have better answers than
I know,
us.
that's a cat.
I'm gonna throw in kangaroo because those jokers. Have you seen that video of the one kangaroo like get a headlock on a dog and this man runs out there and like just pops right
That
off the dog?
was so funny.
Alright, gi, no gi.
Preference.
Yeah. Is
I'm
the gi
50-50.
dead?
No, 100%. I don't think so.
Nicholas
Can we say
Marigali's
both?
bringing
That's
it
another.
back.
Oh,
Yeah, you can say both, yeah.
Well, you got to do both.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's another. I don't know if you guys have talked about that yet, but the gi situation, like,
I wanted to talk about that too.
Yeah, let's talk about
How
it.
do
We
we
got
make
we got
gi
like
great
we yeah, how do we make the gi great again? We got 5 minutes. I'll let you two talk and go.
Corey.
from a spectator point, I think one of the biggest things I see is I see guys cool with holding somebody in guard, and then the top guy, like if you hold guard correctly, the top guy is going to struggle hard, and then the top guy gets called for stalling. So then it's promoting a guy that's holding you in his guard, sitting back looking at the clock, knowing that he's got an advantage or 2 points, and it completely takes the aggressive, like, I'm trying to finish you out of it. Mm-hmm. And then, which is something that's very hard to do in no-gi, which is like just hold somebody there, and then you're just sitting there for 10 minutes and you're like, all right, like, what are we doing here?
Maybe one thing that they should do, not to interrupt and cut, but you know how baseball brought in that pitch clock? Mm-hmm. It's like maybe something like that in jiu-jitsu. Like you get to a certain
Well,
guard
they
and you
kind of
hold for
have
something.
that already. I mean,
But it's like, but you gotta like really implement.
yeah,
it,
but
like,
but people are gonna
strict.
play like against the rules, you know.
Well, that's always going to happen. But you can
Yeah.
make it, like, but what Corey's saying, you can make it more exciting.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Well, and something that we talked about last night, I think that flow, if they really want to make it more exciting, or just IBJJF in general, have an announcer at each mat that's like talking about things, talking you through, like it, getting the audience engaged is a big thing. But
Yeah.
but like you could implement, you know, they could implement something like wrestling where you have like a stalemate. Like if you're in somebody's guard for a minute and nothing happens, hey, stand them up.
Yeah, exactly.
They could do something like
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
Nick?
I think it comes down to time, right? Like IBJJF, you got 10 minutes, right? I think that's although I love that, you know, it's a long battle, I guess, if you really sit down and get nerdy about it. Like it's kind of fun, but for the average spectator,
Yeah.
like it's way too long, and there's a lot of time that you have to stall and like think about what you're doing. So if I think bring it down to 6 minutes. I mean, like I think some promotions do like 5 minutes.
Yeah.
Like I think that really forces the action. No matter if you're playing like a double 50-50 game or whatever.
I think 50-50 just needs to be banned, especially with a lapel. God.
DQ them both.
Yeah, and I think there should be like what you're talking about. Like
Yeah.
I think the refs need to be a little bit more aggressive with like the non-action stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And because like sometimes like these refs compete, like they train in the same team, and they're like, I'm gonna give my boy a little bit more of some leeway. I mean, I can't speak for everyone, but
Yeah, but IBJJF, you need to implement what IWW, the International World Wrestling, give the challenge blocks.
Yeah.
We watched a fight last night. Somebody got screwed. Could have thrown a challenge block.
Yep. And they should do like a shootout, right? Like if it's they get rid of advantages. No one scored any points.
Go overtime.
Like
One
go overtime
period.
and first to points wins. And let me tell you, in battle for third place,
Yeah.
those are the
Yeah, I like
most
that. I like that.
exciting matches that I've ever seen. Like because first and second, okay, cool. They already know they're there. But the people that like, well, I didn't get a chance to get first or second.
Yeah.
I want to stand on the podium.
Yeah.
So
That or even do like like what wrestling does, where you have if you lose to the guy who goes to the finals, you get pulled back in the repechage, and then you get a chance to battle for that third place position, which is again exciting.
It
because
is.
Think about
it was
how many
interesting
matches
fifth
you
and
missed
third.
out on.
Yeah.
Like how many people that have been studs that are third and fourth place that
Yeah.
Yeah.
we haven't got to see them fight.
Yeah, you
Yeah.
just ran into the guy that won, and
Yeah.
you had a bad first match. But then if you get
Exactly.
pulled back in, and then you get 2 more matches to potentially get third, like that's huge.
yeah,
Like, that would
but
be
you know
great.
what? It's just too much work for those guys. So I don't think that's gonna ever change. And because this channel's not that big, it's tiny. So we could say whatever we
But
want
with your help, it can get bigger.
and get our Knights of the Round Table
Yes.
thing. I'm gonna set up a Patreon. Send us money.
You know, it's funny.
No,
I
I'm just
asked him
kidding,
if he
I'm just
wanted a
kidding.
different table, and he's like, no, this will do.
No, we don't want your money. We want your likes,
Yeah.
Comments.
subscriptions.
Subscription.
Down here. Where
No, don't do that because. No, stop. You're getting ahead of yourself right now.
All right, closing thoughts. We gotta go train.
Yeah.
Any closing thoughts?
Go train.
All right.
Thank you, Nick. Thank you,
you, guys.
Corey.
Gracias.
We're gonna. Oh, hey, let's do it. The heart thing.
Oh, you're gonna need this.
Come on, Corey.
What?
Good cross. There we go.
There you go. Put the muscle down. There we go. Hey. All right.
See you on the mats. Oh wait, sorry. Yeah, lightweight. Lightweight. Time to bleed.